Buying a house is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. And trust me, the last thing you want to do is buy the wrong one. From unexpected maintenance nightmares to poor resale value, some homes are just way more trouble than they're worth. We're going to talk about the 6 types of homes that buyers regret the most so you can avoid them. Whether you're buying your first home or your 5th, this list will save you thousands of dollars and a ton of future headaches. So if you're planning to buy a home in the next year, this video is for you. And because we know how overwhelming the home buying process can feel, especially if it's your first time, we've put together a free home buying guidebook. It's packed with tips to help you save money, understand the market, and avoid the most common mistakes. You can grab your copy using the link in the description below. Here are the types of homes you should never buy. The too good to be true flip. Let's start with one of the biggest buyer traps we see, the pretty flip that looks like it came straight out of HGTV. You walk in and it looks like brand new construction, fresh paint, new floors, kitchen has white cabinets and gold hardware, and you're thinking, wow, this is it. But then 6 months later, your plumbing leaks, your floors start creaking, and your outlets don't actually work. Yikes, right? The reality is many flippers prioritize profit over quality. They're trying to do a quick turnaround, and that often means cutting corners, like skipping permits, DIYing electrical work, or hiding foundational issues with cosmetic upgrades. If you're ever considering a flipped home, look out for red flags like no permits on file for major renovations, evidence that walls have been removed without proper structural support added, and majorly outdated systems left untouched. Things like electrical, plumbing, HVAC, roof, or crawl space. Unfortunately, the cosmetic upgrades are the cheapest renovations, so you very well might be overpaying for what you're actually getting beneath the surface. And like we suggest for every home we sell, make sure you get a very detailed inspection, and we'll gather as much information as we can from the seller on the renovation history. It also helps that we have a licensed general contractor on hand to weigh in on the quality of renovations and provide invaluable information for our clients on the true cost of fixing what was left undone. The main thing is to truly understand the condition of the home that you're buying, especially with flipped homes, so you can make an informed decision. Homes in flood zones. Okay, let's talk about flood zones. You might be thinking, but the house is so cute and the price is great. I don't see any evidence of flooding, but wait until you get your first quote for flood insurance. Or worse, your basement floods during a summer storm. The great news is that FEMA flood maps are publicly accessible with a quick Google search. So you can easily know whether a home is in a flood zone before you fall in love with it. But besides the cost of flood insurance, there are several reasons to think twice about buying in a floodplain. Homes with flood damage can be very tough to resell. Moisture issues can lead to mold and foundation problems and costly repairs. And flood zones reduce the marketability of your home, meaning a lot less buyers will be interested in your home when you go to resell it. So it'll take a lot longer to sell and you'll get a lower price than if your home wasn't in a flood zone. So always ask your agent about the flood zone or do a quick Google search before you decide on a home, and check past insurance claims if you can. Number 3. Homes with structural issues. These are the run, don't walk kind of issues. We're talking sloping floors, large cracks in the foundation, the roof sagging, or issues with the crawl space piers. These are all signs that something serious could be going on behind the scenes. And fixing structural issues isn't like replacing a dishwasher. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes even more. Even if the home is priced under market value, you need to be really, really cautious. Unless you're getting a huge discount and you're working with a contractor who really knows what they're doing, structural damage can easily turn into a money pit and leave you with a home that's very difficult to resell, even after you spent tons of money trying to repair it. Always, always get a thorough inspection. And if the inspector recommends a structural engineer, just do it. I get it. No one wants to spend $1,000 on a structural engineer's report, but the cost of foregoing it could be way more than you bargained for down the road. 4th, homes that are overpriced for the neighborhood. This one hurts because the house itself might be gorgeous and exactly what you've been looking for, but the neighborhood just can't support the price. What does that even mean? Well, every neighborhood has a typical range that it sells for, and that can vary greatly from one to the next. Lots of factors influence that. Things like the quality of the construction, the neighborhood amenities, maybe the school zoning or lot size, and how well the HOA maintains the common areas. A great agent will run what's called a comparative market analysis, or you'll hear us refer to it as a CMA, before you ever write an offer on a home. What we're looking for is data on the homes that have sold in the neighborhood in recent months. The CMA breaks down factors like square footage, lot size, number of bedrooms and bathrooms, and age of the home, and it compares the home that you're considering with what's recently sold. Of course, some homes sell for a higher price per square foot than others, but there should be a solid reason. That's what your agent is looking for. Things like the condition, upgrades, usable space in the backyard, whether or not it has a pool or porch or other great features that make it worth a higher price. So before you fall in love with a home, make sure the price is supported by the neighborhood comps. You might love the home and be willing to overpay for it, but that decision will cost you in the long run when you go to resell it. The one thing you can't change about a home is location, and that's where long-term value ultimately comes from. Fifth, homes with awkward or unusable layouts. Let's talk about floor plans. You can change the paint, you can upgrade the kitchen, but moving walls, that's rarely realistic or affordable. I've walked into homes with bedrooms that you have to pass through to get to the bonus room, or kitchens that are completely closed off and windowless, or houses where the third bedroom is literally the size of a closet and could never practically be used as a room. A bad layout impacts how you live in the home and how easy it'll be to sell later. Don't fall for pretty finishes if the home just doesn't make sense. But some bad layouts are less obvious than others. So when looking at homes, pay special attention to things like limited closet space and lack of storage, awkwardly laid out living rooms with nowhere to place furniture, which is especially difficult to spot in vacant homes. And believe it or not, the size of the garage. If you plan to actually park in your garage rather than use it for storage, make sure it's large enough to fit your vehicles. And don't forget a dining room, or at least an eating area. A common issue we find in smaller homes where builders are trying to maximize space is nowhere to actually place a dining table. The dining space is often just a little small area between the kitchen and living room and might end up with your table awkwardly placed with no room to actually use it. 6, homes with unpermitted additions. This one can sneak up on buyers, especially when they're looking for extra space. An extra bedroom or finished garage sounds great until the inspector says there's no insulation or the electrical outlets don't actually work. Unpermitted work might not be disclosed on the MLS, although it should be, but you can usually spot it if you're careful. And of course, a great home inspector can usually spot signs of unpermitted work when they're inspecting the home. But going under contract and paying for inspections on a home only to have to back out of the contract always costs you something. Typically several $1,000s. So when you're looking at homes, pay close attention to any rooms that don't feel like they're the same quality as the rest of the home. And if the square footage doesn't match the tax record, that can be another warning sign. But if you like the home and don't mind the unpermitted space, why does it matter? Again, you want to think long-term. It could lower the appraised value, affecting your loan. You may not be able to get insurance coverage, and you might have hidden issues that show up later due to DIY construction. So always ask the seller to provide permits if the house has additions. If they can't or won't, consider moving on to another home, or at least move forward with caution. So there you have it, the top 6 types of homes not to buy, unless you want costly repairs and headaches later. And if you're thinking, how am I even going to afford a home right now? You're definitely not alone. Between prices and interest rates, buying a home can feel out of reach. But the good news is there's lots of options. We work with some fantastic, trusted lenders all over the country. Whether you need a low down payment option, want to understand rate buydowns, or just curious what you can qualify for, we'll connect you with someone who will explain everything without pressure. So if you're not sure where to start, let us help you get connected by clicking the Get Referred link below. And remember, if you're looking for more guidance, our free home buying guidebook is available and full of helpful tools to make this process smooth and fun. Just click the link in the description below and download yours. That's just 6 of the types of homes you want to avoid. So watch this video with even more red flags on what to look out for when shopping for a home.